Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of On the Mic with Mike. I'm your host, Mike Larkin, and joining me today is adult star, his model, the beautiful Miss Amazon Leee. Miss Leee, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I can't complain. First and foremost, I love the work that you do, and I love what you do and exude and accentuate from an internal and external beauty standpoint. You're doing your thing. I got to give you much love and respect.
Thank you so much for that.
You're very welcome. Now, here's the amazing thing about the adult entertainment industry. There's so much great content. There's so much great uniqueness and preferences, which we'll get into in today's forum. But please tell me, how did you get into the wonderful world that is the adult entertainment industry, the modeling side of things, the beautiful imagery, the amazing scenes? How did you get involved into this world?
Um, Oddly enough,
What is it that got you into this amazing world that is the adult entertainment industry?
um, just a lot of things. I wanted something different. I wanted to be my own boss. I wanted to do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. I wanted to make myself happy and make other people happy too.
You see, that is the most beautiful and most simplistic of all answers. What's interesting about it too is a lot of people can go from, your particular your 9 to 5 jobs. It's very, cliche. It's very, comfortable, but also at the same time, it's like you know your worth and you want to expand your horizons into different fields. And I can respect that because as someone who does do like a 9 to 5 or depending on what hours, I also do this as podcasting wise, and it's you're betting on yourself, whether whatever endeavor. So I can respect that because a lot of people sometimes don't usually do that initiative. They're kind of just comfortable where they are.
Yeah, I wasn't comfortable where I was, and I didn't enjoy it. I wasn't happy, and I wanted to be happy, and I wanted to do something I was good at. And well, there's a million baking companies out there, but there's only one me. So I'm like, you know what? Let me work with what I've got and not just bake, but have sex too.
Well, I also look at it from a stance too, as well. Like when we grow up, like I said, puberty hits when you're like 12 or 13. Us for men and women, we all go through those changes and we get to explore ourselves as people, as far as a physical standpoint and sexually. So, we like what we like. And then if we could make a career of what we like, then why the hell not, right?
Exactly. I mean, it's not for everybody. Not everybody enjoys it. Not everybody has the, a presence about them to do it. And a lot of people don't want to.
I think from a stance too as well, and this is just me, and I think for most of my life, and my mother's my biggest influence. So I guess from the female side of things, just the respect and love I have for women, I've always looked at it from a stance too when it comes to women in the adult entertainment industry, being open-minded with people, whoever wants to do it. If you're not open-minded and you're closed-minded, people just have to look at it as from an art standpoint. Because if you actually really look at it, anything in life is art, from music to sports, what have you. Everything's an art form, and we're just painting our canvases.
Oh, it most definitely is. I feel the same. Painting your canvases. People are like, why do you have so many piercings? Why do you have so many tattoos? I was like, because I'm decorating my canvas.
Beautifully said. I like that. Well, also it gives you a nice little edge too, and I've always enjoyed that style where you got piercing tattoos, and of course, tattoos being the art form that is the canvas, that is the body. Every tattoo tells a story, and plus the look with the piercings as well. I mean, for God's sake, if Joan Osborne can have a little clip-on piercing, talk about what if God is one of us, why can't we all have some piercings and stuff? Maybe a little gauges and whatnot, you know?
Exactly.
And I also look at it from a stance too. Like I grew up, the '90s where you had like the Woodstocks and the mud fights and the fire and all these concerts. You go to like a lot of rock concerts. It's the look, it's the trend, it's the phase, But also at the same time, it's stuff like that that really sticks out to people.
Oh yeah. And it's unique. You get to decorate. Everybody's like, oh, your body's your temple. Well, I treat mine like a temple. I decorate it how I want to.
Beautiful. And I also look at it from. I got to ask you as well. So for you, we're gonna talk about tattoos and piercings here because you piqued my interest, and I'm curious. So when was the actual first like piercing like you actually got? Was it like a teenager as you got older? What really got into the whole piercing game?
I was a teenager and I wanted my nose pierced so bad. And my mom was like, eh. But then she kept looking at me and she's like, you know what? She goes, you look good with a nose ring. And she got me my nose pierced instead of my ears. And it blew up from there.
See, I love. Well, it's addicting. Anything from piercing and tattoos, it's like addicting. Like once you get one, then you got to get more, right?
Oh yeah. No, it's not. You know what? I know people who are like, I have one piercing, I'm good with it. I have one tattoo, I'm okay with it. I'm like, how does that even work? Like I'm so addicted to it. I love it. It makes me happy. I love to decorate myself. So when people are like, no, I'm good with one. I'm like, are you good with one potato chip?
Like
like
that analogy. Are you good with one potato chip? Right, because when you open like chips, like say you got your Doritos, Cool Ranch, whatever you eat, you know, what have you, the nacho cheese, you don't just want to have one Dorito. You want to
Right?
finish the
A
box.
single Dorito, not
Yeah.
multiple, not a handful, but a single one.
Yep. You
Nobody
don't
wants that. Nobody likes that.
know. That's like you just go to a restaurant and you just like, all right, I'll have some mozzarella sticks. And there may not be a lot of mozzarella sticks in the appetizer. Like you're just gonna have like maybe like a single or a little mozzarella sticks. Like eat some more. Don't just have the appetizer. Go for the full course meal. You know.
Exactly.
Now, see, now this talk is just going to make us hungry for the rest of this interview. My goodness
I,
gracious.
so I'm a baker. I before my 9 to 5 was a baker. So food, I talk about food all day long.
I love you even more for that, man. Okay, see, here's the thing. You go from being a baker and the oven, you know what I'm saying, just doing the stuff, and then we hold times of baking, you know what I'm saying, which you can also incorporate into a scene of pornographic nature in adult films. So it kind of like weighs itself out and coincides, right?
One of one of the first things that I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I was like, they're like, do some weird shit. I'm like, I wonder how many spatulas I can fit. And
Oh,
that was one of the first solo things I did.
okay, now I have seen. Okay, now perv here, but I'm just gonna say I'm a man. We all see pornographic material. We're all adults here, so I have seen a lot of solo things. This is probably the first time I've heard about a spatula stuff, but that's also very unique because it encompasses again you being the baker. But you know,
Oh
it's
yeah.
let's add some sex to it. You know, some sexual vibes. I'm like, I can see that. Like I said, coincides. But all right, I know you got to try it. If you don't try it, you don't know, right?
Right? I'm one of those people, I'm not gonna knock it till I tried it. And if I don't intend to try it, I'm never gonna knock it.
Let's
I might question it a little bit and be nosy, but I'm never gonna knock it.
That's right. I mean, it's like, for instance, I mean, you see it a lot from like the fetish side of things as well, from fetish modeling and just in general. Like some people like pegging. Now, if you like pegging, God bless you. You know what I'm saying? And some people make fun of like guys for doing that or what have you. But it's like, if that's what you're into, you're into. You know, you can't judge someone for their into. You, if they like it, they like. You know, that's them. It doesn't change them. It's just what they like, their preference.
Exactly. Like, and you know what? I mean, I'm not a man, so therefore I can't go, oh, let me see how that feels. It's totally different for a woman.
Mhm.
So never gonna knock it. That's your thing. That's your thing. You go get down with your bad self.
Right, and that's the problem too. And I also think with the world today is, you know, everybody's got an opinion, and as I say, opinions are like assholes. Everyone has them. But today with social media's climate, and mind you, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram all have their place nowadays, right? With social media and just in general. But I also look at it from a stance too. If you're providing positivity and dare I say some positive proactivity with your social media, I think that's wonderful. But then nowadays it's just everybody has to argue. We can't agree to disagree, and that's kind of almost one of the bad things as far as social media, and especially with a lot of women like yourself in the adult entertainment industry. My goodness gracious, the guidelines you ladies must have to go through with everything from the social media standpoint, right?
Oh, it's awful. The guidelines of social media is awful. And it's also very biased on your size or how many followers you have as well. Because I've gotten away with some things that people with more followers can't get away with.
Okay, so we got to talk about this, and I'm actually glad you brought this up because I've interviewed a lot of great people in the adult entertainment industry, all different shapes and sizes, and that's what I love. People like yourself because you're doing the damn thing just in general. And like I said, we'll get into your work in a second here, but you've also piqued my interest here, Amazon Leee. My goodness gracious, man! It's like the following, and like a lot of people that I've said are there in the BBW category. It's like what the hell, you know what I'm saying? And I mean that. It's like what the hell, y'all keep getting banned and stuff like that. It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, they and it's like they're very judgmental on your appearance and your size and things like that. Like like how you look and what you do, and all that good stuff. Like it's particular. They're very particular, and they judge you based on all of that.
Hey, I look at it from a stance too, not too long ago, especially YouTube. And I'm going to say right now, I put a lot of these interviews that I've had on my YouTube, and I'm starting from scratch because I'm like, all right, what I put into these videos, it's not like nudity or pornography because I'm like, nobody's nude when we're doing an interview. We're all clothed, we're all having some fun. It's just YouTube will see a word like adult star or porn star or what have you, and it's just like, uh-oh, the red flag goes up. But if you're actually looking at the video and not just worrying about a particular word or what have you, it's like, let's come on here. And I had that one appealed, and then I got it back, and then I didn't. So it's very particular, but it's also like, all right, you know, I've seen worse stuff on the internet, and you're gonna come at me with this. It's like, get off my back, right?
Because of my verbiage.
Right, verbiage. Because of my verbiage. Oh, damn it! I said the word porn. Like it just Oh God, that's the problem nowadays. And I'm not saying this like people talk about cancel culture and stuff like that or getting offended over stuff. Now, there's one thing to get offended over something. If it's horribly bad, there's offensive. But then there's like we like pile it on, and it's like I got to be offended about everything. And I'm like, it's not the way to live. Number one, and number two, calm down. All
That's
right.
a hard life to live, to be offended by
Right.
everything.
Oh,
That's got to be tough. Like I couldn't. I let things roll off me like water on a duck's back. I do not try to get offended by things. I'm like, you know what? If it's your preference, it's your preference. I'm not going to knock you for liking what you like, but don't try to cancel me or what I do because you're offended by one thing that I've done.
the thing too is as well, and here's the problem that's also happened in social media. People will go back to like timelines or posts from like, oh, you said this 10 years ago. But what people don't realize is like maybe that person's changed over the last 10 years and their mindset has gotten different on a particular subject or what have you. And it's just like, yeah, I said it 10 years ago. That's not how I necessarily feel 10 years later. So it's like
Exactly. We evolve.
right? We evolve as people, and that's the thing. Like, I'll be honest with you. When I was a kid, I used to love doing. I'll give you an example. Like, I used to hate reading, right? Like, because I was bored, and also I couldn't pay attention. But now, as I've gotten older, as a 29-year-old man going on to 30, I love it. It's therapeutic. It's wonderful. You get to open a new book. You get to learn. You know what I'm saying? Like, people's habits and people's preferences change.
Exactly. And you could have said, I hate books, 10 years ago. And now you love books.
I love
And
books.
somebody's going to hold that against you for what you said 10 years ago, even though it's not how you feel now.
You threw away that J.K. Rowling Harry Potter book. How dare you? Yeah, I didn't like Harry Potter. Maybe now years later I'll like Harry Potter. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Tastes change.
Exactly. Taste change.
Tastes change. But speaking of what does not change and what is actually evolving is your bad self, Miss Amazon Leee. My goodness gracious. We're seeing a lot of great work and a lot of content on your end. I got to say this. We were talking about the BBW category, and here's why I love it. We got beautiful women in particular category like yourself. I got to say what I love about you ladies is it's the confidence factor. And I'm going to say this right now. A term I love to use is the voluptuosity factor because you showcase that internally and externally, and it goes beyond saying. So I got to give a lot of the BBWs and just women in general just doing the damn thing like yourself.
You know what? I greatly appreciate that because it does take a lot of confidence. And at the same time, like there's points where I'm like, fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make it, baby. Because you're not feeling confident in this outfit, but everybody wants to see you in it. So push on.
Right. And that's the thing too, and I've always looked at it from a stance too, especially with BBWs. Like I'm a pop culture nerd, right? Donna Summer, God rest her soul, they did an episode of it on Family Matters when she was Aunt Una, and she was like, she was a bigger woman, but then she goes into Steve's chamber, and then she's skinny, and it's Donna Summer. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
and then they actually talked about like BBWs on Family Matters, and this is Family Matters, Urkel, for God's sake,
Right. Of all things.
of all things. But at the same time, it's like these terms and people don't realize like these categories have been around for the test of time. And soon as like porn really became mainstream and we got to find out more about said adult work, it's like these terms have been around and it's actually stuff that's been happening. It's not like stuff like we have these categories now. Like we're actually seeing stuff that we had back in the day really focused into the forefront now. And it's great to see the evolution of how we've done things with the adult entertainment industry.
I 100% agree with that because it's beautiful how things have changed and how they rotate and stuff like that. I love it.
Oh my God. I mean, from like as a kid in the 90s, like Tyra Banks, when she was on, I remember she was on Good Burger with Kel Mitchell and all them, that one skit that they had where they were like pretending to be married. And Tyra Banks, when she was in Life Size with Lindsay Lohan and, of course, America's Next Top Model. Tyra Banks, beautiful woman. But then you get from like the Naomi Campbells when she's with Michael Jackson in the In the Closet video, right? And we see models like that, but then we get women like Ashley Graham and Nia Jax, who was in the WWE, The Rock's cousin, and we get to see so many plus size models, and not just models that are plus size, but all different shapes and sizes. The modeling game has really stepped it up.
They stepped up their game a lot with the diversity that they've allowed to happen, and I'm grateful for it because like it says a lot for younger people too. Like like be confident in the skin you're in. You don't have to be 5'5" and a size 0. You can be different, and people will still find you beautiful.
Right. And I also look at it from a stance too as well. Like we're touching upon like evolution and we mentioned an evolving, but it's like it's amazing to see how many stigmas and how many people still shame. And it's really probably one of the most ignorant shit that I've seen. If it's not that, it's just what have you. But I look at it from a stance too as well. It's like it's 2022. It's not the 90s anymore where this is like taboo or forbidden. It's like we're seeing plus size women be featured on magazine covers and just in general. And it's a focal point. I'm going to say right now, the BBW category for adult entertainment, it's hot. It's a peak. You ladies are a hotbed for some great content.
Oh, yeah. Yes, we are.
It's the truth, and I look at it from a stance too. And I'll say this from the male side of things, and I always talk about this. When I was a young man in my teens, I grew up on Long Island, New York, and I got along with everybody. I was that kid that got along with everybody in school, and I've always wanted to stay true to myself, right? But I've always noticed that when I was a young man in my dating years, and now as I turned 29, a lot of the girls that I was always interested were a little bit of plus size, a little curvy. Curves the word, spins the verb, to quote Blackstreet, no diggity, no doubt. So it's one of those things where you get to see women like yourself that exude that confidence, like we mentioned earlier. But it's like, you know what, y'all just want to have fun, and you're just not like have like a stick up your ass. And I don't mean that for all women, but there's some women like that have sticks up their ass, and you're all just like, I'm just gonna go out dance or have some fun, and I'm like, all right, let me have some good times here. So that's what I'm saying. It's a lot of good vibes, to put it
It
bluntly.
is. It's a lot of good vibes.
Yes. But that's true. And I think that's how you have to look at life and have to look at what you're doing, because when it comes to the adult entertainment industry, I want to touch upon someone who you've worked with, Princess Gemini. I've had her on the show. Lovely woman, beautiful personality, very vibrant. You two have amazing chemistry together.
She's wonderful. We our friendship was slow budding, but once it happened, it exploded. Like we clicked. We realized that we mesh well together, that we balance each other out, and I enjoy her company so much. She's taught me a lot. She's actually been a very wonderful mentor to me, and I couldn't be more grateful for her.
And it's amazing to see like the threesomes you've had, like the Gibby the Clown scene and stuff that you put on your many vids and stuff. Like you two, just whether it be from the threesome side of things or together, it's one of those things like when it comes to a particular film, like we get to see a lot of great women put on a show and entertain and evoke emotions with the adult entertainment work and content that they produce. But it's like y'all are just, you're having fun, and it really shines through in said films that you guys have done together.
We try to make sure that we're enjoying ourselves so that other people enjoy what we're doing too, because it's all about enjoying yourself. And if it's too robotic and it doesn't look like you're, having a good time, and you can't have a good time or laugh or joke or, in between whatever we're doing, it makes everything bad, and it just makes for bad content.
It does. And I think what also really shines through as well, like I remember, okay, so again, growing up in the 90s, mid 2000s, this is when we still had like Cinemax and all that stuff where you would see like a pornographic film at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning on HBO. How about some Taxi Cab Confessions? And here's a Nicole Sheridan film with her husband Willow, and they're in some porno that you probably have seen, or it's something that's very similar to the last one that they did. And I think we've come a long way from when we had, okay, I'm going to take it back. Spider Babe was the porn parody of Spider Man, which came out in 2002, starring Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst and a all all-star cast. So they did Spider Babe, a parody where she's the girl, then she's fighting much like Spider Man, but she's a Spider Babe because not only does she help save the citizens of where she is, like Spider-Man, but she has sex with them. So that was like the twist, and it was like the parody. Instead of saving them, they're just having sex. Like Tobey Maguire kisses Kirsten Dunst once, that iconic scene where it's the rain and it's beautiful. But this film, she's having sex 24/7 with the people that she helps. So that we've come a long way from that and websites, and of course Naughty America is still a thing, but isn't it amazing to see like the amount of streaming with sites like an X Hamster, X Videos, Pornhub, and we'll get to many vids and OnlyFans in a sec, but how amazing is that just to see the evolve from the internet side of things and the technological side of things?
I've loved it. Watching things evolve makes me happy. Like, I love progression in a proper way. There are things that I'm like, no, that should not have progressed that way. We did that wrong. Can we redo that? Like, we need to stop that. Let's just put a halt on that and start evolving something else because it's bad. But the way that the internet has evolved with adult content is great. And the way that it's not, I love all of it.
No, but that's what you need. You need a variety in what you're doing. Like, because you're going to be bored just watching, like, all right, so I'll give you an example. There was a porn site back in the day called Big Sausage Pizza, and the premise was Order a pizza. There's a hole in it. You know what it is. It's like the popcorn trick at the movies. Hole right in there. Here comes the penis. So sausage party, pretty much. Before that was even the movie, there was a little sausage party on Big Sausage Pizza. So it's like it's the premise of every one of their scenes, but it's like, all right, I'm gonna get tired of seeing a pizza being delivered, and what's in the middle is the sausage, if you know what I'm saying. Know what I'm saying. So I need
Yeah.
something else to look at besides BigSausagePizza.com. Oh, so here's my firstsexteacher.com. Here's my friend's hot mom. Here's a naughty office. Here's what have you. Like, you need to give me like a variety here.
I like variety is the spice of life, baby.
It is. It is. And that's the point with everything that we do. We need more varieties. Like we were talking about the categories from BBW, and the trans market is really doing a great thing as well. And people with preferences and fetishes, like from foot fetish to what have you, there's something for everyone. And that's really what's wonderful in today's day and age.
And I love that, because everybody needs their niche scratched.
Okay.
Like,
Your niche scratch. Instead of your itch scratch, your niche scratch. I like your style. This is like amazing puns. I love that. I really do. You need your niche.
Occasionally, I'm pretty good with my one-liners sometimes.
You're good. Hey, you're working on me. That put a smile on my face. My God, put that on a T-shirt. Someone you need to have your niche scratched. I like that. I like that.
Get banned on was it anything for that?
Better
Facebook,
than
Instagram.
Jesus God Almighty.
Somebody's gonna be offended.
Somebody's going to be offended, but no. And I think the open-mindedness as well, like we were talking about, and I look at it from a stance too. Okay, it's not the 90s anymore where we had like Tommy Lee and Pamela Anderson come out with their sex tape, and sex tapes were all the rage because everybody wanted to see what celebrity is getting into a scandal and whatnot. Like, we're past celebrity tapes. We can just watch them on a particular site. No, I'm just kidding. But it just in general, this is the age that we've come into. And I also look at it from a stance too as well with the internet. Many vids, X videos. I'm looking at your many vids content here, man, because you're putting out a lot of great work there in your OnlyFans. But how awesome is that to see many vids OnlyFans coming to the forefront and it's really taken over for a lot of adult entertainers and content creators like yourself?
I love it. It's made things really easy. It's made things accessible and functional, and I like that. It's a lot easier to do than, I mean, I couldn't imagine being in the 90s trying to do this with VHS tapes and DVDs. And no real internet for this.
Somebody,
Nobody wants to have to go buy that.
yeah, somebody would have to get the old dial up, you know what I'm saying? Just like friggin' AOL. You know what I'm saying? That's probably,
Right?
you know what I'm saying? It's one of those things too, as well as in with OnlyFans. And what I love about it is it's a great community for fans to interact with people such as yourself, and also beautiful imagery and beautiful videos. Not everything is naked, but also at the same time, a lot of people just assume it's nude content. I'm like, no,
They
there's
really do, and that's not all it is.
right, and that's what I'm saying. That's the one caveat that I see every time I hear about OnlyFans, and we have this discussion on the forum here. It's like, oh, it's just all this nude photos, and everybody's getting nude. I'm like, have you actually really looked at an OnlyFans and see what content's on there? It's not all nude content.
My nail tech has an OnlyFans page, and
Right?
what she does is nails on her OnlyFans page.
Some people are into that, and that's cool because
And there's not a drop of nudity, nothing. It is her doing nails, doing pedicures, showing how to do forms, things like that. It's not what people think it is.
and that's the problem. We're always steered towards the taboo. And you think that we would have learned that from all these years about taboo, and really it's just like, this is how we are. It's the human body, deal with it. You know what I'm saying? To put it bluntly, but it's just like, yeah, OnlyFans, beautiful women. Yes, some naked photos, some modeling photos. But at the end of the day, it's not just a particular sexually explicit site that you think it is. I remember back in the day, put out somebody get the Cyber Patrol. That was a big thing to like PC your computer, ban you from sites. Just put the Cyber Patrol, put the hammer down, fault baby, locked down. I digress. It's one of those things where it's just like we've come so far where it's not always about sexually explicit content. There may be other stuff. Not everything is supposed to be sexualized.
Exactly. But anything can be a fetish, though.
That's true, which is fine. Like we mentioned, like there's some people like foot fetishes. Tony Atlas, who is a legendary professional wrestler, former tag team champion with Rocky Johnson, who's the father of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Tony Atlas in the professional wrestling community is known for having a foot fetish. He likes some women walking on his face and whatnot. He loves him some feet. God bless the man. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of people that like foot fetish, right?
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with it. People like to wear diapers. That's not a problem. And you know what? Anything can be a fetish. I had this discussion with my mother.
Okay.
And she's like, this is so nasty. I'm like, Mom, I was like, anything can be a fetish.
Right.
Anything can be somebody's kink, and there's nothing wrong with it. I was like, I guarantee you there's something you like that somebody thinks is weird. I was like, so don't knock it. I was like, you like getting money, don't you? She's like, yes. I was like, well, that's a fetish for somebody. That turns somebody on. She's like, well, I guess you're right. And totally, you could see the light bulb go off in her brain. And she's like, oh, okay.
That does make
so, yeah.
sense. I mean, who doesn't want to accumulate money? You know what I'm saying? I mean, the money is wonderful. It turns people on to get money. And I mean, people say, you know, money isn't everything and people love what they're doing and the money does come and like we mentioned, accumulating. But it's just like there are people that love them some money. You know, friggin' make it rain like it's fucking Pac-Man Jones. You know what I'm saying? People like that.
Right? Like some people just want to roll around in it.
Yep.
Literally have a paper money fetish. Like, love it. And that's all they want to see is you roll around in some cash. And I mean, it doesn't even have to be sexual, but it gets them to that point to where they're happy and they want to enjoy it. And I think that's cool.
I mean, if we can have back in the 90s where Jerry Springer can have all these women and all these people who have weird fetishes, like that one woman who gets turned on by the sound of the laundry, the friggin' laundry thing going on, the friggin' hamper and everything, and the dryer, and just loves the sound of that vibration. I mean, there's something for everybody, right?
There's something people like to hear, like, you know, when you rub a balloon, that ee sound it makes. People like that. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a beautiful thing. Like, and it doesn't even have to be. Again, we were talking about sexual. That could be a whole OnlyFans page. It's just you squeaking balloons in your underwear or dressed.
Oh, you just gave someone an idea. Squeaking balloons on OnlyFans. You just gave somebody creative. See, the noggin's going, man. The creative juices
right?
are right. No, but like that's cool too. And I also look at it from a stance as well. Like I remember when I was a kid, so True Life on MTV, before we had your catfishes, before we had the Jersey Shores and all these reality shows, the real True Life reality show was True Life. So I remember they did one episode on True Life, I'm a Dominatrix. And mind you, as probably like a 13-year-old at the time, because this was like 2005, I'm like, okay. And again, not knowing about this world. And then you're like, again, you're a youngin' and you're just like, oh my God, what am I watching? And then as you get older and you start to find out about this community and how niche and how, you know, people like what they like, you know, some people like a little S&M and a little bondage, you know what I'm saying? Like you realize like the popularity and just how like really it's kind of cool to be submissive, so to speak, in certain situations.
Yeah. Exactly. I think I actually remember that episode, to be honest.
Really? Okay. All I remember was this dude was flat out. He had the ball and gag. He had the little, you know, the thing that they put on the face. It was like watching Madonna's Human Nature video from the Bedtime Stories album. Remember Madonna's Human Nature where she has like the whole
That's
body?
one of my favorite songs.
It is the jam. It's so underrated, and people want to talk about like Lucky Star and, you know, Like a Virgin and all this stuff. No, listen to Human Nature. That's
Human
the same.
Nature is my jam.
It's the best, and I'm not sorry. Don't let you put your shit on me, man. It's fucking awesome. Like I'm not your bitch. Don't hang your shit on me, right? Like, oh, powerful lyrics.
It was great. I think that was my first karaoke song I ever
Was
did.
it? Oh my God, that's funny. But no, that album was like full of jams, right? That was the one that had My Baby's Got a Secret. That was on that. And I think Babyface and Her Take a Bow. That song is highly emotional, but it's good. You know what I'm saying?
It is.
Oh, get you every time. You ever see the video where it's like the guy's like the bullfighter and you just friggin' like you know, she's watching him? Oh, it gets you every time. It really does.
I don't think I've seen the video to that, to be honest.
It is. It's heartbreaking. It really does pull on your heartstrings. You got to watch it. If nobody's ever seen I forgot what VMAs it was, like in mid-90s, right? So it was Madonna and Babyface performing Take a Bow. And it's the most beautiful. They have the orchestra going, the whole nine. And you legit look at Madonna and her face. She looks like she wants to cry while she's singing it. Now that's how moving a song could be if you yourself are singing it and you want to cry. Like
exactly.
Beautiful. Oh. Anyway, that's what it's about in any art form, is evoking emotions. And I think with you ladies as well, because we talked about yourself and Princess Gemini, what's great about evoking emotions in the adult entertainment industry, first and foremost, we talk about, you know, the turn-ons and the overall erect, if you will, because I'm going to say the term. It's one of those things where if you can evoke that emotion and evoke that feeling, then you're doing your job.
Exactly. And that's what I try to inspire in everybody. Like, I want to get you there, but I want you to enjoy getting there too.
See, I like the way you put that. There's a lot of ease and joy getting you there. Getting you. All right, okay. So one thing I do have to mention as well, because you got like a lot of style as well with the finesse. I'm going to say this because you have to got like those lingeries and a lot of stuff that you've seen in your content. I say I dig that because it's a nice little lingerie, a nice little set that you kill it from the fashion side of things, and also externally as well. So I got to put that over.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. But no, it's the simple things. Just give me a little dress, a little lingerie. Hey, boom, I'm there. A little skirt. It's the simple things. When Britney Spears and Baby One More Time, it was the infamous The Schoolgirl. People went nuts because it's
Nuts.
this beautiful woman, schoolgirl attire. Then she's in the gym with the yellow thing. She's playing with the basketball. She's dancing Hit Me Baby One More Time. Blew up. Everybody loves the schoolgirl outfit too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, they do. I got a couple.
Now, people talk about fantasies, and no, I'm not talking about Mariah Carey. Me and Mariah go back like House of Fire. Rest in peace, ODB. I'm talking about fulfilling fantasies here, Miss Amazon Leee. The schoolgirl thing is one of the most cliche like fantasies, but it will never die. It will never get
It's
old.
it's classic. It's not. It's I mean it's cliche, but it's also a classic.
Right. That
And
or
some classics just don't go out of style.
right. I like equate that to like the schoolgirl and like a cheerleader. They're like right neck and neck with each other from the classics.
Oh yeah.
Now
Because
for you,
everybody had that fantasy of, oh my God, there's the popular cheerleader. I'd really like to get with her. It's not going to change. It's timeless.
is from
Everyone goes through that at some point, unless they stop cheerleading and stop private schools, and it's never going to go out of style ever, because everyone's going to have felt that at some point in their formative years.
and I think that's also it's a part of life, and it's natural to put it bluntly. It's very natural. Like when Van Halen came out for Hot for Teacher, I'm going to say this right now. My senior year of high school, her name was Miss Carpenito. She was my chemistry teacher, applied chem, right? So she always used to wear the dresses, and she had like a tattoo on her ankle, and it was of a rose. Beautiful. So every time she would go
Sexiest ankles you ever saw.
yo, it was the right spot and it looked good. And she was styling and profiling with the not before there was drip, she was just styling and profiling. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. So she's walking down the desk, checking everybody's work. I have my little pen or pencil right here. Sometimes I may have to drop and just take a look and then go right back up. Sometimes you gotta inadvertently drop your pencil or pen. You know what I'm saying? You gotta take a little look. Huh?
Yeah, sometimes you do. You really do. I
Sometimes
mean, I'm an adult. I do it all the time.
hey, guilty as charged, still do it. But at the end of the day, like sometimes they say, like, oh, habits die hard. That's really not a bad habit. You know what I'm saying? If you see someone who you're invested in, and who's someone who's just so beautiful and really just kind of like, mwah, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to take a peek.
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all. And speaking of nothing wrong at all, going back to your many vids here, man. Thor Johnson is a legend when it comes to the adult entertainment industry. He's done many great works with so many women, including yourself. I gotta ask
Yep.
you working with Thor because you two, another one, great chemistry, and it's just he always has a lot of time and effort into his work. Can you talk about working with Thor?
So talking about him is probably the coolest thing ever, because we met in the funniest way.
Okay.
Now, it was a birthday party for Princess Gemini.
Yeah.
And he was going to be there. We were at Sam's Club buying snacks and all kinds of provisions for her party. And she goes, "That's Thor's car." I'm like, "Who's Thor?" And she's like, "Oh, you're going to see him at my birthday." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." Well, we're in the checkout line and I forgot to purchase the tequila. So I had to go back in line. And I look over and there's a guy in a hat and it says, "You touch my beard, I touch your butt." And I'm like, "Oh my God, that beard is beautiful through the mask, through the mask." I mean, and it's just glorious.
Yeah.
Because he's got a great beard. I love a beard. I digress. So I was like, "You know what? You could totally touch my butt if I could touch your beard." And Gemini goes, "What are you? Oh, hi, Thor." And I'm like, "That's Thor?" And he's like, "Yeah." So next thing I know, I'm touching his beard. He's touching my butt. We're walking out of Sam's Club. And he's like, "I'll see you." She tells him that I'm going to be at her birthday party. And he's like, "Oh, I can't wait to see you." And I'm like, "I can't wait to see you either." And we parted ways. And that's the first time we met. And we just kind of like hit it off from there because we were kind of blind.
That
And we did it when we did our scene together. There's actually, I don't even know if I don't think it's in the video, but we actually stopped mid content to compare foot sizes. because he's like, I've never been with an Amazon before. I was like, yeah. I was like, we got big feet and big legs. He's like, your feet can't be bigger than mine. I'm like, my feet are definitely bigger than yours. And I was like, watch, my hands are bigger than yours too, or about the same size. And we're comparing hands and feet in the middle of what we're supposed to be doing, and then stopped and went right back to what we were doing.
That's a great take. Just comparing feet and hands and sizes during. All right. See, first of all, that's a great thing to start, where you're just in Sam's Club and you're touching butts and beers. Okay. Now I'm curious. Now this action here. So we're coming out of Sam's Club. Did anybody see and stop and stare, or what was that like? Just around the overall these surroundings, if you will. Anybody take notice?
People noticed. People definitely noticed, because we weren't quiet about it. I was like, ooh, and he's like, yeah, and he gave me a little smack, and people were like,
I'm curious.
and
You don't like not notice that, Lee. You don't like not notice that. So I'm curious to people's surroundings and their reaction.
right. I mean, people. First of all, people know me and Gemini. We laugh. We're like, we're a walking circus, because like I'm, of course, not a small human being in any way, shape, or form, and she's kind of on. She's not real tall. I mean, she's about average height for a woman. So when we walk around, people tend to notice, because like I tower over her, and she's not little. So it's when we bring more into the mix, it's kind of a carnival act.
See, I think that's what's great too as well, because people talk about opposites attract, not to quote the familiar Paula Abdul song, which by the way is amazing. For those who've never heard of it, go out of your way to check out some opposites attract. But that's a beautiful thing too as well. You have opposites, people attract, and people that really gravitate one another. I think that's showcased in your scene with Thor and you as people. So I got to say kudos as well, because I think with Thor, worked with a lot of beautiful BBW women as well, now yourself included. So I mean, just a lot of great work for that genre and just in general, man. He really knows his stuff.
Yeah.
Another thing I will also mention is, first and foremost as well, there is a video on your many vids, and me again, pop culture nerd 50 Cent. It's in the club, man. You're having sex, you're coming out of the club, boom, have that really fantasy, because again, who doesn't love going to a club, meeting someone at the club, and then taking them home? That one I also was very into, because like I said, it's something that really equates to real life. It's also very sensual and it's very cool at the same time.
Oh, with Don Prince.
Yes.
Yeah. He's so much fun to work with. He's such a sweet guy.
That's the
I
thing.
really enjoy working with him.
I've seen a lot of his stuff too as well, like we were talking about from the BBW side of things, but just in general, he's another one. You get people in the right room of variety, it works. You know what I'm saying? And he's another one that really is a master at his craft.
He really is. He is. He's professional, but he's also very friendly and very welcoming, and makes you feel comfortable. You know, he'll converse with you and like finds out about you and talks to you, and it makes it really comfortable to work with him.
I'm glad that you mentioned that word, because one of my mottos is, and I think you can agree with me on this, I always talk about A and C, not just as guests, but with people, who you interact with. It's all about accommodation and comfortability. I think that's two things that people need to really put high up on, like how you interact with people and how you deal with certain situations. Accommodation and comfortability.
Oh yeah. I'm all about I go out of my way to make people feel comfortable, because if they're comfortable, I'm comfortable, and then it makes things work well.
Exactly. And I think that's what's great about any endeavor in life, whoever you're working with or what have you. Also look at it from a stance too as well. And here's why I love it. Like, we see what goes work in front of the camera, just the scene being laid out, everything's done. We have the intimate setting. We have a lot of great different settings, but what goes on behind the camera from the lighting and stuff, people don't realize like the hard work that goes behind the scenes to put out such great content. It's a great production.
Oh yeah. You hit the nail on the head. It is a production. It's not just slapping a camera up and or like a phone up and making it happen. Yes, we do that for fun things to make, for to hit that realism. But even then, after that, there's production that goes into it, to edit, to make sure that the lighting, that you can, alter the lighting as best you can to make it visibly appealing.
So
which is a big deal.
Right, and that's what goes into any scene. Like, I'll be honest, I remember, I'll say this is from years ago. So X Hamster had one of the scenes. Like, and I'm going to say this is a guy thing. You're scrolling through like a porn site, whether it be streaming site or what have you, and you're just scrolling through the page, and you're like, seen it. Oh, here's something new. So because you don't want to watch the same thing over and over again, like we were talking about variety. So there's a scene. came on, and here's how kind of low budget this was. It's a guy goes into the convenience store, and I don't remember the woman who the actress was in it, right? So the guy goes into the convenience store, and Jeannie goes, "You remember what you said if I came back in here?" And she goes, "Come on, let's go." And then they go into the bathroom, and it's like a 5 or 6 minute blowjob scene POV, and I'm like, well, that's kind of boring. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know what I'm saying? There's just like very little like oomph into the film. Like you need more of a production, just like, okay, here you go. That's what it felt like. You know what I'm saying? You feel ripped off.
Yeah. I try not to leave anybody feeling ripped off.
Well, no, and I mean that in like a good way. Like you don't want them to be ripped off. Like, for instance, if you look at the 80s and people talk and they use the term golden age, right? Like people talk about like the 80s was the golden age of professional wrestling. 80s was the golden age for movies or what have you. Same with the adult films. Like when Ginger Lynn was in Kinky Business, right? Which was the porn parody of Risky Business, you know, Tom Cruise and Becca Dillon. So there's an infamous shower scene from it. And if you screw up a shower scene, then what the hell are you doing? Because it's one of the most iconic shower scenes ever. Like, that's what you need. You know, like a great shower scene, a great something that really sticks out in the film.
Exactly.
So
everybody requires a good shower scene.
That's true. And that's, again, like, that's something, if you could give me, like, a shower scene or just give me something nice, because there's nothing wrong with bubbles in the tub. Let's talk about making love. I'm saying Pretty Ricky on the hotline from back in 06, for those that remember that joint. But no, there's a lot of stuff that really equates to people's preferences and lives, and it's really showcased in a lot of your films and many others. So once more, kudos.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It means a lot to me.
I
put my effort into that. And I when people like it, it makes me happy.
And let's talk about this voluptuosity factor as well, Miss Amazon Leee, because you could talk about that Amazon stuff, but man, you got the voluptuosity factor and the curves, and you're very personable and very vibrant. So that also goes into the production as well. So yeah, you yourself and I, to quote Beyonce, you know what I'm saying? It's all you got to the end. It's what you found out, huh?
Yeah. Working with, I got to adjust. Sorry. Oh.
Oh, no, you're fine. Like I said, you work with it, and I think that's what's great. A lot of people work with what they have, and I think with you, it's like we were talking about accommodation, comfortability. It's the accommodation to working with people and just in general. Like we have that variety and we have that adaptation. Like I said, you grow with each film that you do. So
I've definitely grown from my first film. I definitely have.
I mean, from what I've seen of your stuff, like we mentioned in many vids, I know there's a blowjob compilation that you've done as well. Like the compilation videos really showcase yourself as well with your talents. So I mean, if you also the compilation side of things goes very well, because if you could put 3 or 4 like intimate scenes into one full like 10 or 20 minute video or what have you, like that goes a long way and showcases like your greatest hits. It's like a one big portfolio wrapped up in one.
Exactly. I like those. They make me happy. I like to see the growth in like the same video.
There's a lot of growth that we can mention in that from different videos. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot that we can mention about the word growth when we're talking about blowjobs. So hey, there it is. Yes.
Sometimes I don't even let people get their full growth before they're done.
I like you. I like you a lot. I see what you did there. Oh my goodness. But before we do close this out, first and foremost, Amazon Leee. It's really been a pleasure and a privilege to really pick your brain and really just showcase a lot of your talents and the great work that you've done. I'm going to say right now, the overture's here. Anytime you want to come back on, you're more than welcome to. We'll definitely do a round 2.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I'm grateful that you let me come and talk to you.
Well, hey, I love giving people the platform to tell their story, and we found out a lot about you, Miss Amazon Leee. So please, it's my pleasure.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Now, one other thing I have to mention as well, because we were talking about like the internet as far as a couple final questions, the internet from back in the day where it's just websites and then we move into streaming and stuff. And I mentioned like my first, I think, interaction, so to speak, or introduction to pornography. There was a site back in the day called Girls Hunting Girls. Don't know if it exists still to this day. So the premise of the site was it's all girl on girl scenes, but it's like girls in like a minivan, and then they see a girl and they pick her off of the side of the road, and then it goes into the bedroom, and then boom, we have ourselves a scene. So that was my early introduction to the adult entertainment industry and porn in itself. Do you remember, like, as I said, like we pick our brains and we really get to know what we like from teenage years into adulthood? Do you remember what scene or what have you that really kind of like sparked your interest into like the adult world and stuff like that? Was there anything that really?
You know what? I wish I could remember. I cannot for the life of me remember. I remember liking odd shit. Which now isn't odd. And that makes me happy. But I mean, I was like, it was TV and it was that fuzzy screen where you're like, are they doing it? Are you sure they're doing it? And you're like, and you're like, yeah, they're doing it. They're doing it. I hear it. And it could have totally been women's tennis, and you have no idea, but it was a fuzzy screen, and it was arms and legs and thighs, and you're like, oh, I think I like this. That was my first exposure to anything.
Well, I kind of can agree with you on that because TV was a big integral role. So I always say this being a wrestling fan, and I'll say this to any wrestling fan nowadays, and it's become like a meme. Here's what's funny about this. So it's like this today's generation will never have what we had when there's a wrestling program like Monday Night Raw is on, and then they go to commercial, and then there's a Girls Gone Wild commercial. Because if that aired today, everybody would be like, "Oh my
They
God,
have an aneurysm.
oh my God, what is this?" Like, for the 2003 time period, and mind you, I was 11 at this time, like Girls Gone Wild was the it thing. Like you couldn't escape it. It's like Jerry Beads,
Was
but
everywhere.
it's like Jerry Beads on porn. You know what I'm saying? Like friggin' with Jerry Springer with Jerry Beads. It was just Girls Gone Wild. Woo! Here's some breasts. That was the gist of the 30-second commercial. But God damn it, you wanted to party with those girls. That was the hook of it. You know?
Definitely. And I remember that because I'm kind of a wrestling fan too.
Oh, I love you. Okay, so now, who was your favorite wrestler? I'm curious now.
Rowdy Piper.
Ah, you have good taste.
British Bulldog.
Oh,
And The Undertaker.
see, that's heel, babyface, and either heel or babyface, depending on what gimmick he was. But I like your style. Two of them who are no longer with us, and one who retired not too long ago. I like your style,
Yes.
the legends.
Oh yeah, I've dated a few wrestlers myself.
Okay, now if we can talk about this, is it like indie professional wrestlers who are like, okay, see, all right, I can respect that, and I can respect that. Okay, all right, we don't have to.
I actually just had a friend, Clay, who was really into indie wrestling.
Yeah.
Just passed away like a couple of weeks ago, and may he rest in peace. He used to do some fun shit. He used to put on some events here in Vegas, and they were great. I used to love going to them.
We got to talk about this now because so Future Stars of Wrestling is the big wrestling promotion in Las Vegas that does a lot of great work. I actually just ring announced at that venue for a LFC Lingerie Fighting Championship. A great venue. I'm going to say right now, if anybody has not been to the FSW Arena, go out of your way because they put out a lot of great talent. So I'm going to give you a recommendation. Go to the FSW Arena. That's a great talent. I'm hooking you up. Good stuff. A lot of good stuff.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And it's funny, I won't spoil who, but when you go into the arena and you notice some of the faces that they have, like on the banners who came from FSW, you will see some people who have gone on to WWE and wrestled other places. There's a lot of well-known names that came from FSW.
Hell yeah.
All right, so
I'm definitely into that.
All right, I got your back. So please, like I said, check out, support your local independent wrestling. And besides the fact it's Las Vegas, combative natures from MMA, wrestling, how can you not have like some wrestling in Las Vegas? I think it's about damn time, right?
Damn Skippy.
I love you. So this Amazon Leee, another one thing I have before we have you promote the social medias. Man, you're doing your thing in the adult entertainment industry. You're creating that content. Do you have any advice to any women who want to get involved in the adult entertainment industry, create that content, and do exactly what you and so many women do? What advice would you give them?
Testing. Make sure you're doing it healthy. That is the biggest thing. That's the one thing, is be healthy about it and be safe about it. Don't just let any Tom, Dick, or Harry off the internet hit you up. You vet people. Be safe, both physically and, emotionally. Don't let people get in your head. Don't do anything you're not comfortable with. If you don't like it, don't do it. And there's nothing wrong with not doing something you don't like.
I'm smiling from ear to ear because beautifully said and so eloquently said. I think a lot of people need to realize that too. And it's great that you brought that up because a lot of people don't even realize like the testing that goes into it. You have to be safe. And it goes in anything. And I'll use the two S's. I think you'll like this, Amazon Leee. Safe and spectacular. When it comes to any scene, you got to be safe and you got to make it look spectacular.
Exactly. I mean, and if you condoms are not a problem. Don't be afraid don't be afraid to use them. Be afraid not to use them if you're not tested, or if it's been too long since you've tested, or if you're just uncomfortable about it. That's not a problem either. People, so that could be somebody's fetish right there.
It's one of those things too. Here's a weird analogy, but I'm going to make the analogy. Like when it comes to porn and, safe sex, first of all, safe sex is wonderful. You know what I'm saying? Safe sex, you're keeping yourself together. You're making it safe so you can't catch any diseases, right? A lot of people make fun of that. Oh, you got to wear the condom. It's like back in the day in professional wrestling. Now, this is before we found out about concussions and CTE and all the effects that could come from concussions and head injuries, right? So
Yeah.
if you were a professional wrestler and you put your hand up for a chair shot, you were a pussy. Nowadays, there's concussion protocol, and mostly if you see like a wrestling match, they'll hit you here, or they'll hit you in the back because you can't hit hurt from in the back and the stomach. You know what I'm saying? Instead of
Yep.
going for the noggin. So it's smart, but at the same time, you're not a pussy or anything if you don't wear a condom. So that's what I'm saying. Keep yourself safe.
Exactly. And concussion syndrome. I actually dated a wrestler. He has concussion syndrome now.
Right? It's the wear and tear. It's the wear and tear that goes into it. You know?
Yep. And that includes wear and tear on your body. Like, again, safe sex. Period. It's wear and tear on your body, and you need to protect yourself so that there's less wear and tear on your body.
I gotta say, first and foremost, there is a lot of great bodies and a lot of beautiful bodies, and I'm talking to one of the amazing and beautiful bodies right now. And Amazon Leee, beautiful advice, and I love everything that you said. Folks, mentally and physically, trust the process, and I'm gonna say this, I'll add on to that. Progression, succession, no regression, boom. That's what you need to do in everything and every day. Call the week is called We Life. So promote the social medias, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, many vids, OnlyFans, you're all over the place. So please, I'm gonna step back.
I'm all over the place, and it's all Amazon Leee with 3 E's.
Okay, we got to talk about this now. And here's why I love the social media. With all 3 E's on the Leee, like Leee, like why is it all 3 E's? Like Leee, like Glee. What?
Because it makes it taller.
Okay, all right. Okay, fair enough. I like that. But yeah, no. So yeah,
You got to accentuate everything about me. I'm tall. I'm thick. My name should be thick too.
I like your style. I like your style with your thickness. Get down. Okay, Disturbed had a song, Down with the Sickness, Down with the Thickness. Put it on a
Down with
t-shirt.
the thickness, baby.
Right? Oh my goodness. So links will be in the description for all Amazon Lee's links. And I gotta say, go follow her. She's a fun follow on the Twitter, the many vids, the OnlyFans, and everything in general. Check out Amazon Leee with 3 E's because she's got it like that. You know, she's got it like that. So Amazon Leee, do you have any final words for your fans and your supporters that have been supporting you since day one and checking you out and doing your thing?
I thank everyone that supported me and everyone that continues to support me. And if you haven't checked me out, check me out. I'm kind of fun. And that's about it.
There's a lot of fun and vibrancy and a lot of, I'm going to say, some sassiness and some spunkiness. I'm going to use the 2 S words, sassiness and spunkiness, when it comes to the amazing Amazon Leee. So links will be in the description. And my final words, as I say with every guest and every female guest in every walk of life: beauty, strength, and dominance, the 3 key elements that make women the work of art that they are. And Amazon Leee, Leee with 3 E's. I include you in those sentiments. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.